So let's talk about the ambush on 4th of July at the Alvarado, Texas ICE detention facility. Now, this place is actually not too far from, well, it's not too far from where I live, the city I live in. But since it's like country, it's probably really in reality maybe 12 or 15 miles from me, but because the quickest way to get there, hit the back roads, it might take 35, 40 minutes to get there. And the reason why I know is because Alvarado has a place called Alvarado Archery where I bought my compound bow, get it tuned up, and buy my arrows and stuff like that, all my compound bow hunting accessories. But anyway, we're gonna get into this because now it looks like they're looking for a 12th person. The last time I saw this story, it was 10 people. Now there's 12, and they're looking for one more. So we're gonna get into it because there's a couple of details, that I want to actually get into that probably explains some of the stuff that happened. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
I'm Dia Wall here in the WFAA newsroom. Thanks for joining us here on WFAA Plus. You may have got that blue alert on your phone. Well, the FBI is searching for the 12th and final suspect and what they called an ambush on law enforcement. If you look at your screens right now, this is Benjamin Song. He's a former U.S. Marine Corps reservist accused of joining those 11 others in an organized attack against officers at the Prairieland Detention Center.
And see, that's probably one of the bad things, one of the things that you can how would you say it? That's probably one of the things that kind of make you question if it's safe to bring people in who are probably not citizens in the military. What am I trying to say? You have a lot of people, you'll find out there are a lot of people who coming over this country, and the government will grant them citizenship or the possibility of citizenship if they join the military. But that's kind of dangerous to me because if you got somebody who's loyal, let's say, to their country or to some kind of guerrilla group, or some kind of terroristic group from their country, they could come in, infiltrate, and it happens all the time with any kind of organization. Come in, infiltrate, and use what they learned against the very people that trained them in the first place. So maybe it is a good idea just to make sure that anybody gets in the military are citizens.
Now, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Texas, this all happened here in Alvarado. We got an update on this entire situation, what happened when the ambush occurred. We're going to go to a package now and a story that was put together to kind of explain what happened by our Adriana Dialba.
Outside the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado, heightened security after a shooting at the ICE facility on 4th of July.
This was an egregious attack on federal and local law enforcement officers.
Federal authorities revealing new details on Monday, saying they believe it was a coordinated attack.
It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers.
Federal prosecutors say Friday night, about a dozen people wearing black military-style clothing launched fireworks outside the ICE facility and vandalized it.
And out here in the rural areas, fireworks are legal. There are fireworks stands up and down the roads, up and down these country roads and stuff. Hell, there's a fireworks stand not too far from where I live at. And I bought a few over the past few years, and there's nothing illegal about it. So, but for them to do this at an ICE facility, that has to be like some kind of federal crime.
To be designed to draw ICE personnel outside the facility.
It escalated after officials say someone separate in a nearby wooded area shot an Alvarado police officer in the neck, who is now recovering. Officials say another person nearby began firing too.
Shot 20 to 30 rounds at these unarmed corrections officers. There was an AR-style rifle found at the scene.
Deputies stopped 7 suspects nearby. Investigators saying they found body armor, weapons, and radios. Inside the vehicle, a flag that said "Fight ICE Terror." It's unclear if this incident is connected to a shooting in McAllen, where an armed man was killed after exchanging gunfire at a Border Patrol facility. Federal prosecutors arresting and charging 10 people. They're facing 3 counts of attempted murder of a federal officer, among other charges. An investigation into the Alvarado incident still underway. In Alvarado, I'm Adriana De Alba.
So the people in Alvarado were unarmed, and I want to get into that in just a minute because I met a guy recently over this past week and had a nice little conversation with him and he told me that he used to work like recently, like as in the past month or two, worked at this Alvarado ICE detention center. And what he told me is telling, and I'll get into it shortly.
As for the people who are a part of this, accused of taking part in this ambush, who have already been arrested to this point, Zachary Evans of Waxahachie, Joy Gibson of Dallas, Bradford Morris of Dallas, Maricela Rueda of Fort Worth, Seth Sykes of Kennedale, Elizabeth Soot of Fort Worth, and Inez Soto of Fort Worth, they all face criminal charges. And I want to make sure I get this right, including attempted murder of a federal officer, discharging a firearm during a violent crime, terrorism, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against a peace officer.
What's interesting about everybody she named, except the ones in Dallas, is that everyone else, you can reach those cities along Interstate, the Highway 287, which goes through like Tarrant County, Tarrant County and Ellis County. It's for Waxahachie. What did she say? Fort Worth and somewhere I forgot what she said, but yeah, all those cities are right on 287. So how the person from Dallas got involved, how they all met together in the first place is a good question. It's a good place to start.
Our Cole Sullivan was out talking to people. In fact, someone who witnessed part of the fallout after this ambush occurred, also bringing us some video of the scene.
She heard the attack from her house.
Then we heard bam, 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 bam.
And watched what happened next with her phone in her hand.
I think her car got shot over there, right there.
This video shows the seconds after. Prosecutors say nearly a dozen people, almost all from North Texas.
And this is crazy. You see these people? I see potentially 1, 2, 3, and I'm not discriminating. I'm just going by, the Donald Trump effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for sure U.S. citizens. Now they could be from Germany or Russia, Ireland, whatever. But going by based on, like I say, this at least, and they are now all 10 of them may be U.S. citizens. And if they are, I mean, hell, whatever. But I'm about to say they are U.S. citizens because they didn't say anything about them being illegal migrants at all. So they're all U.S. citizens trying to, let's just be honest, break out over 1,000 ICE detainees. And again, I'm going to tell you why they probably felt that they could get away with this.
Ambushed an Alvarado police officer, shooting him in the neck, they say, after luring him to the Prairieland Immigration Detention Center on the 4th of July.
They were running back and forth, back and forth.
This woman asked us not to identify her after hearing details from the FBI. Details like the suspects dressed in black with body armor, carried radios, and shot up to 30 rounds from AR-15 style guns at officers, according to a new court document. It says one suspect told officers he met people online, then drove them here to, quote, make some noise. The FBI says the suspect spray painted this graffiti, and agents found anarchist flyers and flags, like this one. Since the shooting, that neighbor tells me there's been a huge police presence here, including this checkpoint with an armored vehicle set up by Homeland Security officers.
It is a planned, coordinated guerrilla warfare ambush attack, and it's terrorism as far as I'm concerned.
Clint McNear with the Texas Municipal Police Association says the wounded officer is a member.
It's a long road ahead, and we are praying for a full and complete recovery.
After an ambush.
You're chasing somebody.
Caught on camera.
We've never had anything like that happen here.
In Alvarado, I'm Cole Sullivan.
My colleague Cole Sullivan is joining us now. And Cole, you've been reporting on this for days at this point. Talk to us about the new information that we've learned even today.
Well, we got this new information today, not only this blue alert for this 12th suspect involved in all of this, Dia, but we also got charging documents tied to the 11th person. That person, according to these federal charging documents, was not actually at the ICE detention facility when this happened, but is charged with crimes that happened after the fact, tampering with evidence after this. This is an investigation that stretches far beyond Alvarado and Johnson County, all the way to Dallas County. Officials in these federal complaints say that the folks in—
That's what I wanted to say. I know Alvarado's in Johnson County, but I also know like Arlington and Fort Worth is in Tarrant County, and Waxahachie is in Ellis County. But like I said, you can reach all of these. But actually, you can reach Dallas too. I mean, 287 is the main. Will be the main road, main highway that that everybody's coming off of. You see what I'm saying? But like, because you can hit 287 and it goes 67 north or 35 north, and you can go and you can run right into Dallas. Like say 287 goes to 30. Well, 287 runs into Fort Worth too. So and 67 south also goes to like Johnson County and into where Alvarado is.
Involved in this met online in a Discord server and came to Oak Cliff to a house there to stage, they say, before going to this ICE detention facility to carry out what they call an ambush.
Interesting, because Oak Cliff is out the way. Now you can get to Oak Cliff, like say from 60, you can go 67 north or 35 north. And where they merge it, it's like that's Oak Cliff is like right there. So it's interesting because Oak Cliff Dallas is north. It'll take you at least from Alvarado, I'm just guessing 45 minutes to get to Alvarado from Oak Cliff. I'm thinking that hell. Alvarado, that Johnson County, it's an hour from anywhere, tell you the truth. So yeah, it could take you a minute to get there. So they all went up there and then drove south to Alvarado. That's interesting.
Really disturbing stuff that we've learned, and also the scene. Kind of describe the mood and the atmosphere. It's not every day that you see, I mean, nearly a dozen people who are implicated in something like this.
I think there are two sides to that question, Dia. One is the scene at the time, the chaos as this unfolded. Some of the details from law enforcement say that within a minute of that Alvarado police officer arriving on scene, suspects opened fire, shooting him in the neck, and then also shooting at some of those correctional officers who were there on scene as well. The chaos and the aftermath of that from that witness that you heard as officers tried to find all of the people involved, some who drove away and were stopped in traffic stops nearby, and now a 12th person, we're told, who's on the run still at this point. The scene now is still very tense. When you pull up to this ICE detention facility, there's a new checkpoint set by armed Homeland Security officers that are outside of the normal perimeter of this. And when we pulled up to start talking to some neighbors, the ones you heard there, and also understand more about the scene, they stopped us. They said, "What are you doing here?" They have that big armed bearcat that you saw there as well. They're taking this very, very seriously after attacking one of their own.
Obviously, that blue alert is for the 12th suspect, Benjamin Song. We showed you his photo there, mugshot.
I want y'all to remember when he's talking about that armored vehicle, because like I said, that's an important detail also.
Or photo. And ICE, in the Monday evening news conference, local and federal officials called this a coordinated attack on law enforcement and ICE. What did those documents show to kind of corroborate that?
So one of the things that the documents talk about is, as this unfolds, the timing of it and the fact that it happened so fast. So what they say is these 10 or 11 people who were here on scene or there on scene at Prairieland Detention Facility had body armor, they had radios, they were dressed in all black, they had helmets, some of them did, according to these affidavits. They also were there with fireworks and spray paint. They began spray painting some of the vehicles in the parking lot of that detention facility and shooting fireworks, these complaints say, towards the detention facility. That prompted some of the ICE officers inside to call 911 and ask for local police response. When that response happened, that's when the shooting occurred. Officials saying people hiding in kind of a brushy woods area were shooting at those officers as they arrived. They say the fireworks, the spray paint, that was all designed to lure police officers to the scene to ambush them at that point.
Cole, for people who are kind of getting bits and pieces of this story and just getting caught up, what do you think is the big takeaway, and what are we still waiting to learn?
I think two parts are big takeaway. One is that there's a suspect on the run who they need your help to find. That person there, Benjamin Song, who they're looking for right now. Nearly a dozen people involved in all of this, nearly a dozen there that night, is the other big takeaway. This was not a one-off.
Man, if I was a detainee or illegal immigrant who's trying to stay in this country, man, let me tell you something. This kind of heat is would be unwanted. Like seriously. You think about cats in the hood, you know what I'm saying, dope boys and stuff. When a body drops in the hood and the police or someone, or more than one, or some, or especially like an innocent bystander, you know what I'm saying, a square citizen get caught up in a gang and drug activity. Now you're gonna bring heat. And that's one thing, that people are doing something that they do not want the government to know who they are, where they are, and what they are. They don't want that. They'll be like, man, we don't need this kind of heat. So you got 12 people, most likely citizens of this country, trying to break out about over 1,000 ICE detainees. 12 people. I would be pissed off because now you see what happened. They brought this armored truck. So now it's like, even if, and now everybody's going to be, they definitely going to be like, we got to hurry up and get these. This could expedite these ICE detainees to get sent back out, deported out of the country a lot faster because of stuff like this. Now, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, condoning illegal immigrants in the least. I'm just saying, shoot, this ain't what you want.
One-person thing. The law enforcement experts I've talked to say that this was a calculated, coordinated, planned attack, a planned ambush on law enforcement, and that is a big deal to have that happen right here in North Texas.
Just for the last time, the 12th suspect in this ambush, Benjamin Song, still has not been arrested. That's why you got those blue alerts on your phone. And the documents say that he is accused of buying 4 weapons that were used in this ambush, 2 of them AR-style rifles. So we're going to continue to keep you updated there. The Alvarado City Council is set to meet behind closed doors to discuss this incident tomorrow. The mayor tells us that local police, the chief there, is going to provide an update to council members at that time as well. So this is a story we will definitely continue to follow. Cole, thank you for your insight. And thank you for joining us here on WFAA Plus.
So one thing I think that they did not count on, these must have been some city, well, Waxahachie ain't really city, but the rest of them, Dallas, Fort Worth, they must have been some city folk thinking they was finna come to a country town of Alvarado and shoot up some police and probably rescue or break out a bunch of ICE detainees. Dude, down here, this is all they do, man. There is every night, I don't know if it's a gun range or somebody got some land sitting in a barn, but every night I can hear off in the distance somebody or some people practicing shooting. There used to be a gun range right off of 287, but I think it's a tree or a plant station now. I mean, a store now. But hey, that's all they got out here. Guns. When you talk about them Trump supporters and them red states and the red counties and stuff like that, Ellis County, Johnson County, they have weapons. They keep, and they're not like these young dummies, these young YNs or wannabe gangsters and people who got ops in these cities who keep these AR-15s and these handguns with these switches on and can't control them when they shoot them. What was that video in Philly when you saw that boy on a porch shooting, and he couldn't even control the gun. It was a freaking handgun, and he couldn't even control it. He's shooting the gun going up in the air like this because he got a switch on it. No, that ain't what it's like down here. These police officers, these citizens actually know how to use a weapon properly, quickly, and with deadly force. So when these people came down here or went to Alvarado, I guess they thought what they're going to do, they watched too much damn TV. They're going to pop fireworks, get the police call, take out the police, and then go into the ICE detention center, I guess, because what they're telling you is that the officers in the ICE detention center are unarmed. But what they're not telling you is those ICE detention centers across the country are well understaffed. As a matter of fact, let me look at this chat GPT. I looked it up and asked, is the Alvarado ICE facility understaffed? And it says yes. Evidence and whistleblower reports indicate that ICE detention centers, including the Prairieland facility in Alvarado, Texas, are operating below staff levels, affecting safety and care. ICE proactive disclosure, Prairieland, December 2024 inspection. The Prairieland detention facility near Alvarado had a compliance inspection in December 2024. While the report's full findings aren't public, routine oversights like this often flag staffing shortages. A 2025 investigation of ICE facilities in New Mexico found one was operating at only about 54% of required staffing, leading to unsafe conditions such as broken plumbing, unsanitary cells, and lack of supervision. These staffing shortages are persistent across multiple regions, including Texas, as ICE expands its detention capacity. If you drive in these small towns or you driving like closer to the Texas border, you will see signs and billboards advertising jobs for ICE, advertising jobs for Border Patrol, not because they're just so happy to have you, it's because they're understaffed, like and by a lot. It says detainees across ICE facilities report delays in medical care, food shortages, and limited access to basic services, symptoms consistent with understaffing. A Reddit post from ICE employees noted that detention centers like Alvarado are frequently short-staffed since they're prioritized over field offices when assigning personnel. So implications of understaffing at Alvarado: reduce safety, lower staff to detainee ratio, raises security concerns, and hinder emergency responses. Delayed services, inadequate medical and hygiene support, and restricted detainee movement are common symptoms. Operation strain, remaining staff must work excessive overtime, increasing fatigue and work pressure. Regulatory risk, prolonged understaffing may trigger intervention from oversight bodies as seen elsewhere in the country. So, bottom line is, the understaffing could be a big reason why they thought that they can go in there and I'm just gonna I feel they want to go in there and like break them all out. Like I said, I met a guy who said he worked at this particular facility, like maybe like a month or so ago. Because he said he was gone by 3 weeks before this incident happened. And he was saying how big it is. He was saying you got these officers that are supposed to, watch the detainees. He said, like, if each pod or each what do you call it, a dorm, may have like hundreds of beds for people. He was saying that this facility was supposed to house about 700 people, but are housing over a thousand detainees. That's number one. He was saying you have officers or whatever you want to call them, these unarmed officers that she was talking about. Suppose there was supposed to be a number of them who's watching over the dorm, but he said that they were so understaffed that one officer would be assigned to watch like two dorms because you don't have enough staff. And again, they're like I say, staffed. They're understaffed and they're unarmed. He was saying, like, I think each dorm should have like 35 officers in there, watching the detainees. But on a good day, there are only 13. 13, yeah, he said 13, about 13 to 15. Like I said 13 though, are in this building. So, because he was saying how like with the medical staff, the nurses, those so like they was talking about medications, right? So like reduce, what did it say? Delayed services, inadequate medical and hygiene support. There was one more. Let's see, what did it say? Yeah, inadequate. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Inadequate medical support and restricted detain. So he was saying how with the nurses, they had a medication window. So everybody would have to come up to the medication window and get their medications. But because they were understaffed, even in the medical department, the powers that be told them that instead of being behind a window, now they got to take the big med cart with like 700, like I said, at least 700 medications you got to pass out approximately, and take the med cart and walk them to the bunks. because they don't have enough staff or enough officers to where they can use a couple to walk a certain, a number of these detainees up to the medication window. So that could be a safety concern, because now you got medical personnel walking amongst all these detainees, and anything can happen to them. So they can get beat up for medications. And he's talking about medical, medication abuse and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I said that it's probably one reason why they felt they could do this. They're gonna go to this little small podunk, Mayberry town, and lure out the police. They probably didn't think the police was coming. They probably thought that they was going to shoot off these fireworks. Like I say, country town, it's legal to shoot off fireworks. No one cares. But you're by ICE detention center, so that's the rules are a little different right there. But they probably thought they're gonna lure these guards out. They're gonna shoot. They know they're unarmed. They're gonna shoot these unarmed guards and then go in and rescue these detainees, and they're gonna be on the run. And they're doing it for whatever cause they feel. Like I say, not understanding that, like I say, out here, these cats know how to shoot. They hunt. They live in the woods. You use a fool. But the other guy, the 12th guy, well, he wasn't there. He just bought the weapons, I guess. But these other people, shoot, they look like they probably was on high on meth or something when they thought of this diabolical, silly ass plan. But it didn't work. But my point is, hey, like I said, this place is understaffed. Y'all got to understand this. But like I told him, you can go to find me any job in a profession where you are like a first responder, or a public service employee. Find me any place where they are fully staffed, and I will call you a lie, because you're just not enough staff, not enough funding, and that's anywhere. You can go to like the prisons, you can go into hospitals, the nursing field for sure, always understaffed somewhere. Nursing homes, it doesn't matter. It does not matter where you go or what you're talking about. They're going to be understaffed. People are going to have a lot of overtime, and people are going to be fatigued. It's like when they first talk about overtime. So I've never been a guy who's really big on overtime. I mean, if you're going to give it to me, you're going to pay me, I'll take it. But I'm not going to be the one to be like, damn, I need it. Ain't really living like that. Ain't been doing that since my days in the warehouse. And I told y'all about that in the previous video. But in the beginning, you got people say, oh, I need that overtime. So I need that money, make that money. And it's like, it sounds good at first. But when it becomes consistent, and when I'm talking about these kind of fields, like public service fields, we ain't talking about like a 10-hour day and go home and come back. No, we're talking 12 is probably your minimum. You may end up doing 16s, 20 hours or in a day. Go home, take a nap, and come back the next day, or take a day off, sleep all that day, and then come back to work that next day and hit it again. That's what you're talking about. And you're on your feet. You know what I'm saying? You're walking around because you can't sit because you're tired. Because you sit, you might mess around and fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to deal with. Breaks are probably far and few between. They're probably not as long as you would like them to be. But these are the situations, these are circumstances you got to deal with being in, like say, in the public service field. So that's what you got to understand. So with that being said, what that should tell you is that there are a lot of jobs out there for people who want to work. I say stuff like this is for young folk. Keep them busy, keep them working so they can get tired, go home, go to sleep, stay out them streets doing stuff they ain't got no business. But I wouldn't suggest one person go, because it's really not going to solve the problem. What you do is get a group of homeboys, a group of homegirls, get family members. Everybody go down there. You ask them, hey, I heard there's a shortage. How many jobs are there here that need to be filled? And I want to know about all of them, from guards to the maintenance crews, to the cleaning crews, to the kitchen crews, to the laundry crews. How many jobs are actually open? I mean, seriously, that you need to fill in order for this place to be fully staffed, and it can work 8-hour shifts, go home or whatever, however long the shifts. It might be 12-hour shifts. I don't know. I know in nursing, in hospitals, you got 12-hour shifts. And then like in nursing homes on the weekends, you got people that work 16-hour shifts, 2 16s on the weekend. But whatever. Ask them how many jobs need to be filled in order for the place to be fully staffed. Take that information, go out and round up as many friends and family members that you can that ain't working, and go get a job. Simple as that. You can find people that can work. You just, like I said, you just can't go one at a time, because you go one at a time, that person get hired, and it's like, shoot, he gonna be burnt out, and then then somebody else gonna end up quitting. But if you get enough staff, and if these places will keep the staff, that's another thing. These places be fully staffed, and you wouldn't have these cuckoos out here thinking they can break out 1,300 illegal migrants. But that's all I got for this story, man. Tell me what you think about it. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means everything to us here. And with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I will see you on the other side.